Okay then. All right, welcome back to Adapting. We're sitting here at Adapt Mobility, our last stop on our road trip through Medicine Hat. I'm excited to talk to Trevor today. He's the owner of Adapt Mobility, and he's going to tell us all about the things that we can do with accommodations and to help people maintain independence at home.
Yeah,
in the workplace and in sport and all of these things. It's a pretty cool thing, actually.
Yeah, plus the things that they have at the store, like the chairs, the stuff that we're sitting in right now is probably the most insane thing I've ever had to, ever had to operate.
I need to turn mine off, otherwise I'm going to start moving things around or hit the horn.
It is off.
Well, it is now. I just turned it off.
Okay.
All right.
Anyway.
So should we get down to it and see what Trevor has to say? All right. Excellent. Trevor, welcome to Adapting.
Thank you very much for having me. I appreciate this.
So I've known you for a lot of years. Actually, as I start to think about it, it's a lot of years. So one of us is getting older.
Yes, I definitely am. Less hair, more belly. So
yeah, I resemble that remark myself.
Yeah.
So how many years have you been open here?
So I opened Adapt Mobility in March of 2017. So it's been 7.5 years now operating as Adapt Mobility. And before that, I was actually with MediChair here in Medicine Hat for 17 years. So I have been around for almost a quarter century.
That's fantastic.
Wow.
Which is scary to say.
So you know a few things, though.
I have been through a lot. I have seen a lot of clients, a lot of individuals with very different needs. And as such, I've been able to apply all sorts of different knowledge and expertise and equipment in order to help keep them moving.
That's awesome. So tell us a little bit about things that you might do in someone's home. Like what kind of equipment would somebody use in their home? See, good thing I turned it off. I already hit it
That's
once.
a very good thing. Yes, I appreciate that. So in a person's home, there's almost limitless possibilities. So anyone might just need something as simple as a weighted spoon or a bent spoon, as we see on the wall behind you, in order to be able to feed themselves properly, all the way up to a walker, a wheelchair, or even we've done a few home elevators. Actually, so there's a lot of possibilities. Bedroom aids for bed rails in order to help get in and out of the bed. They're really handy. Surprisingly, you don't think about it until you grab onto the thing and you go, oh, that was really easy to get out of bed. So lots of really simple stuff all the way up to very, very complicated pieces of equipment.
And I think it's something that everybody, at some point in your life, everyone needs something. Maybe it's just a crutch.
Yeah, unfortunately, generally everyone does need some piece of equipment at some point in their lives, whether it's even just an injury, broke a leg. It's heck to get up a set of stairs when you've got a broken leg and you end up bum scooting all the way up. And we've got solutions to prevent you from going through the hassles. I
didn't even think about a bath chair and how handy a bath chair is to have in your home. So
absolutely. After my first child was born, my wife at the time had a C-section, and she wanted to be able to have a shower, but she couldn't get down into the tub. And if she got back up, it was a pretty arduous thing. So we brought home a bath chair, and she used that for the first month and a half of being a mom.
That's awesome.
Even my daughter, she broke her leg here a year ago, and asked me to bring home a transfer bench, and she's healed quite well, but she's still uses the transfer bench because it's really easy to shave her legs on it.
I do remember going to my aunt's house in England and seeing a walk-in bathtub, and I'm like, that's the coolest thing ever. I'm glad people are so accommodative now as of in the past, because that is just brilliant.
Yes, the world has definitely changed. The technology that's out there and even the acceptance. Back in the 40s, 50s, if you were injured, it was you're going to go into a home, and nowadays it is everything that we can do to keep you in your own home, in your own environment, and keep you moving independently. So the technology alone has gone leaps and bounds, even over the past 25 years.
For sure. And I think some of the solutions too are fairly simple. Like I'm even looking behind you with like the wedge pillows and the special blankets to put on the bed to help with bed sores and things of that nature.
Yeah, lots of times we forget about those simple little things like reaching to the knobs on your stove and trying to turn the stove on and off. There's solutions for that where there's long-handled reachers that can reach to that if you're sitting in your wheelchair at the time. So there's a ton of silly little things that can make your life just easier every single day.
So what would it look like? So what happens then? Say someone needs, we know they need help getting in and out of the shower. So what would the first process for somebody be in Alberta?
So the nice thing about Alberta is that we've got an excellent government program for funding. So the Alberta Aids for Daily Living program funds anything from a raised toilet seat or a bath seat all the way up to wheelchairs, and even for some people, the power wheelchairs. So we've got an excellent funding program. Now that works through the occupational therapy department, through physiotherapy, or through home care nurses. So if you have your home care nurse coming in to help you with your bathing, they're able to authorize a bath seat for you. Otherwise, occupational therapy will come out, evaluate your day and what equipment you could use in order to make it through your day a little bit easier. And then they'll involve the vendor and have us come out and verify and make sure that we're supplying the best equipment for their need.
That's pretty cool. So by the time when you actually come in, then someone's come in first, assess everything so that the handrails go in the right spots and all those types of things.
Absolutely, and by an occupational therapist or someone in that side of the world going out, they're able to take a bit of a holistic approach of the entire day and not just, oh, I need a bath seat. Well, hang on, a bath seat's great, but how about a bar on the wall so that when you're getting into the tub and out of the tub that you're safe as well? And are you getting in and out of bed reasonably well, or do you need something there? And they'll take that whole look of your day, because every time that we can simplify something and make it less work for you, that means you've got more energy to spend on the things you'd rather do instead of the things you have to do.
Absolutely.
So, makes a huge difference.
You know, my son's an amputee, and little things like people don't think, oh, well, it's, you just put on a leg and then you go. But there's all these steps that have to happen before that. And then, oh, wait a second, you know, maybe an assist to put a sock on, or something to when you don't have a leg on, what can you use to get around? You know, because they're not always super comfortable.
No, there's a lot of complications that happen with just about everything. In this industry, the one thing that I tell every single client is that patience is required. You have to be patient. You're dealing with equipment. It's going to take a little bit longer. Relax. It'll be okay. Just be patient. And that's a very hard thing for a lot of people to get used to.
Oh, so that's a big tricky one for me. Super tricky one for me.
Yeah, I don't do well with it either.
Me neither.
I want it right now.
But I will say though, every time that I've come here when I've needed something, like after my surgery and I had some troubles with my arm, you know, Crystal was great and got me in to measure me up, and little things like I didn't realize how much of a difference a compression sleeve or compression gloves, or like I wish I knew the right name for it, but the night bandages to put on, how much of a difference that would make in just one little thing. Like I was putting 7 bandages, having to wrap and wrap and wrap.
7?
Yeah, constantly. And I came in here in one day, and it costs a little bit of money, but not a great deal of money. And Crystal got me this set up with this great thing that I just put this one sleeve on and I wrap it all up the way it's supposed to go, and bam. And I haven't lost feeling in my hand since. Like one little thing makes such a difference.
Absolutely. Even in people who aren't affected by anything, if you're traveling a lot and you're going on airplanes, you should be wearing compression socks.
Yeah.
And I'm saying that doesn't mean that I'm doing that, but
I wear them for you.
I should.
I wear them for you.
The next trip, now that I've finally got some compression socks for myself, the next time that we go on a plane, I'm definitely going to try it. Because
I can't believe the difference it made for me.
On a plane, I find I'm just restless and my legs won't quit, and supposedly this is going to help a lot with that too.
Well, my husband uses them now too. We just went on a long flight and he couldn't believe the difference that it made when he got there.
I should write that down the next time my mom goes to England, because my family always has trouble on a plane because we're just like loud engine, kids crying. I need sleep. So yeah, I think compression socks will like have some way to like keep still.
Oh yeah. They work. They do their job. You have to be compliant and
If you
use
buy
them,
them.
but if you use them, they do work. So
Mhm.
I'm actually looking forward to wearing them on our next trip on a plane. But for going to England, absolutely. That's what, a 12-hour flight.
Yep.
So 12-hour flight. That's a long time to be sitting
Mhm.
down. So putting on compression socks is definitely going to help.
I'm gonna write that down.
Absolutely.
So there's just something for everybody, even though we don't think we need an accommodation. Sometimes just that little piece to make your life a little easier,
Mhm.
Absolutely.
right?
You know, that I can go. I can't really go on forever about compression socks because that's not my side of the world. I'm not big on feet, so
me
I'm
neither.
not going to go on about that forever. But even doctors, nurses, those kind of people, if you're standing on your feet all day, something as simple as a compression sock can help with your daily routine. So you don't have to have an injury or an illness or a disability in order to use some of these pieces of equipment. Um, wall bars in a bathroom kind of look institutional, but
They're handy when you slip,
man,
I tell
if you
you.
grab onto it, it'll hang on to you and you're not falling down into the bottom of the tub. So
I'm a clumsy human. I am not ashamed to say it. And they are very helpful.
Yeah, that's why I take baths.
much safer.
Yeah, much safer and much less slip inducing.
There you go. Absolutely.
I am the epitome of clumsy, and nobody in my family that's over here has ever slipped in the shower. So I just like stay still. Whoop! There it is.
Uh-huh.
So
And
yeah,
it happens just like that.
Yeah.
Just bang,
Mhm.
and you're down.
That's how Tim broke his ribs the second time.
Mhm. That doesn't take much at all.
No, they're
Mhm.
pretty fragile.
Mm-hmm.
I've also
So-
been looking at the chairs and just seeing that do they help people up out of the chair? Because
Yes, so we do lift and recline chairs. So it's like your lazy boy, except it has the added feature where it'll actually bring you almost to a standing position. It does it slowly so that it's not shooting you out of the chair, making you run, but it will lift you almost to a standing point. So that reduces the amount of strain on your knees and on your back and on your hips.
Because I remember doing a bunch of research on like Barca lounges specifically, and then I see this, and I'm like, is that for like people with like bad backs or old age? Because I remember my grandfather has one of those, and just seeing all of this in the stores, bloody hell,
Yep.
it's something else.
The lift chairs have gotten quite advanced as well. So now they've got adjustable head, adjustable lumbar, heat and massage, it's ridiculous what these things will do.
They're pretty comfortable.
Crystal wanted to bring a couple home, buy them, and I said no. I said I need the love seat so that we can sit next to each other.
Oh, there you go.
Oh crap! Now I look like a romantic.
Don't worry, we'll only tell everybody.
Okay. Wait, is this going to be like? Oh no.
Retract the conversation. Let's keep going.
So what other kinds of things? Like I see even there's some steering wheel adjustments here. So do you guys do those types of things for people's vehicles?
Yeah, so we can adapt vehicles to be hand control operated. So instead of using your feet for the gas and the brake, you're able to use your hand. We install a couple of bars, and nowadays that's actually gone a little bit electronic as well. So it can electronically control your gas pedal.
Cool.
So if you're somebody who isn't able to drive with your feet, you do have to get a special code on your license in order to drive by hand control, but we install that. We also install turning automotive seats where your seat in your vehicle will actually rotate out of the vehicle and lower down to the transfer height of a wheelchair. So we can do that as well as cranes that can pick up your wheelchair and throw it into the box of your truck or things like that.
One of the gentlemen that we were talking to with adaptive farming, Miles.
Miles?
Yeah, Miles has a lift in the back of their truck.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I watch it every day when they come by. It's so cool.
That's awesome.
Beats the heck out of using their porch lift and ramps and all of those things in order to get his 300-pound power wheelchair into that back of that truck. So they are heavy. Yeah, but it works very well for him, and there's always a solution for whatever the problem is. It's not always something that's off the shelf. Oh, here you go, see you later. Every once in a while I do run into something where I have to adapt something. Adapt. So then I'll actually have to take something that's manufactured and figure out how to adapt it so that it works better for that client need.
You guys have a pretty big workshop in the back here too.
Yeah, it's a pretty big workshop that gets full of stuff all the time. We've got a lot of technicians running around all day long, so things come in, things go out, and it happens in a flash. But we do have a workshop that's large enough to put a vehicle in so that we can do a turning automotive seat. We've actually got one in the back right now with a turning seat in it.
Very cool.
So we're able to do those sorts of things in order to make your vehicle a little bit more accessible too. We don't go as far as the van conversions, where you cut the floor out and drop it a foot or so. That's significantly more than I would ever like to do. And it has to go through crash test rating and things like that. So those kind of things happen down in Ontario. But we're able to work on the units once they're complete. So
Very cool.
yeah,
I can't believe how much bigger this space is. I'm sitting here actually and thinking, I'm pretty sure this is where the warehouse stuff
that is
used
correct.
to sit.
So 7.5 years ago when I got this place, it was an open warehouse. There was no office, no shop, no nothing. In really short order, I put up a wall in between the front and the rear, built an office, sorted it out, painted, did all that stuff. Had a couple of work parties where all my buddies came in and helped me out. And 2 weeks from the date that I got the building to the date that I started the business, we got it done. And then we were here for 5 years and grew a lot and a lot of employees, to the point where we were tripping over each other and we had nowhere to put anything. We had too many storage units off site, and luckily we were able to gain access to the other side of the building and got that part of it as well. So now people do have desks and they're not on top of each other, and we're able to store 90% of our equipment here.
That's
right
awesome.
here in
It's
the business.
what a pain having things in sea cans all over the
Oh
place.
yeah. Everybody, there was 2 to 3 times a day that somebody was having to run down to a storage unit in order to go get equipment. So just that alone saves everybody a lot of time and hassle. So it's been great.
That kind of growth though says a lot about your business and your commitment to the community.
Yeah, yes, I am very committed to the community. So this is my place. I've been in Medicine Hat since 1996. Born and raised Bow Island farm boy. Came to Medicine Hat to come to the big city. Yeah, I know. It's a big city though.
It feels like it.
When I first got here, I thought different.
Yeah, compared to Bow Island, 1,800 people, this was a big change. Came in, started working at MediChair here in Medicine Hat, and fell in love with it. Honestly, I fell in love with the clients. A lot of the clients I actually consider to be my friends. So I do grow those relationships, and maybe it's because I'm a softie or whatever, but they're my friends and I want to help them out. So I have, whenever I can, I try to find a way to help whoever it is with whatever their need is. So that's been kind of my motto, and it's not about business or money or anything like that. It's more about my community. That's been my motto the whole way through. And when the MediChair days ended, everybody told me, Trevor, actually clients started calling me at home and telling me that I needed to just get out there and start doing it myself. So that's what I did. That's how Adapt Mobility came to be, is because the clients told me to. So it's been supported very well by the clients, and we're grateful that we've got the clients' support, but we also want to contribute back. So we help out wherever we can with Medicine Hat Adaptive Sport Recreation, whether it's donation of tires or whatever they need. We've been doing Halo Day here at the store for the past 4 years now, I think. Trying to support community and other initiatives as well, even just something as simple as going down to Ready and helping with instruction on tying down clients into the vehicles. So whatever I can do.
In chairs to keep them safe.
In chairs. Yeah. Tying them down sounds a little weird. In chairs sounds a little better.
Yep.
As long as it's not electric. So even simple things like that, that's my community involvement. But this is my community. So I want my friends to be taken care of, and I want them to do as good as they can for their independence and mobility and their freedom to move. About a year ago, we participated in a fundraising activity for one of our clients, a young boy who has arthrogryposis multiplex congenita, which is an issue with some of his joints. Wasn't able to feed himself, so mom always had to take care of that for him. And a wonderful client of ours actually came forward and said, you know what, we want to donate, and we want to try to help this kiddo out. So they provided a donation, and we got some more money together and got some more friends together to build enough funds up, and we bought him a robotic feeding device.
So cool.
That thing is amazing. And really, it's got 4 bowls. Mom can just put the food into the bowls, and he hits a couple of switches, and the spoon goes right from the bowl right to his mouth. It does all the work for him. It is amazing. And you can imagine what a life-changing experience that is. So he's able to feed himself for the first time, and hopefully for the rest of his life. Mom doesn't have to do that for him anymore. And for him alone, the ability to do that on his own, to not feel like somebody has to help him in that way, was remarkably moving at the time.
Absolutely.
So yeah, that probably one of my proudest moments was being able to get somebody that independence.
You know, it's something we take for granted, a little thing that you just think it'll always be there. I will always be able to do this, or everybody can. Right?
Absolutely.
And then to be a part of that piece for someone, that is really remarkable.
Yeah. And wicked technology.
So
that thing
cool.
is
Yeah.
amazing.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna Google it afterwards because I want to see what this looks like. Like, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
How cool is it that technology can blend with this? I know it's sciencey, but it's also really a human service industry, right?
Mhm.
Those two things to come together, and it really is revolutionary for people in their lives.
Yeah. And life altering for the rest of their life in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
I really love working with the kiddos and giving them some of their independence too, because a lot of times we don't really recognize what they could do if you just gave them that ability to try.
Yeah.
And then they get the ability to try, and they just take off like crazy. And it's really nice to be able to see that kind of thing. So that, yeah.
I think that possibility thinking is something that gets missed along the way for a lot of people.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And especially when we look at youth and when we look at people that maybe need a hand with things, right? We like, oh wait, but I can help. Oh wait, I can. And sometimes the biggest help is to not have to help anymore. Is to find that thing, to give someone that space of possibility to grow and learn these things. I think that's pretty cool.
If I know the one thing that people want most of all, it's independence.
Absolutely.
And the fact that some of this technology gives them that, like the feeding machine, whatever it's called, these chairs, the lounges, that's brilliant. A brilliant way of giving people who's lost their independence or who never had their independence.
Well, and it can start reasonable, right? It can start with just like an adaptive spoon. Like, that's a great idea, a great show of the breadth of what these simple accommodations, these simple adaptive things can be. Like, maybe it's just a tilted spoon. The difference that makes for people is huge. Or having an edge on a plate. It's remarkable.
A lot of times, again, we kind of take for granted what we can do, and we don't really think about, well, what would happen if I couldn't use my left hand anymore? How am I going to feed myself? And it's incredible what is actually out there, even just using a knife. So if you're having to cut a piece of meat and you only have one hand, how in the heck are you going to do that now? Well, there is equipment out there that can do these things or can make it more manageable. And I can only imagine how frustrating it would be to lose that ability to do that thing and have to call on your spouse or your kids or a caregiver of some sort in order to do something that you never even thought twice about. It was just easy.
There. When I dislocated my elbow and I couldn't do anything with it, I was so angry. Because, and even just, was I thankful that I had a sling? 110%. Was I thankful that I could get a brace so I could get rid of that sling? 110%. But my hand still didn't work properly. Like, I still had an injury to nurse, and I needed just a little thing. So again, having a transfer for for the shower so that I could get in and out without killing myself. Because let's be honest, I am that clumsy, right? And having to ask somebody else to cut my food, or can you pour me this because I'm not strong enough to be able to do this. It's an awkward situation, right? It's really humbling, and it really makes you think about how simple to manage those things could be, right? With a little bit of creativity. So I put like pot holders on like anti-skid mats on the counters and little things like that. But it doesn't have to be complicated either to sort that.
A lot of times it's just a simple solution.
What are some simple solutions that you found along the way?
So even I have a client who he essentially has use of one hand more than the other, and he likes to blend up his smoothies. Well, that's not that easy because you've got this lid that you've got to be able to pull off of the bullet or whatever it is. And that thing gets kind of wedged on there tight once you've blended some stuff into it.
For sure.
So we just did a little adaptation to his one drawer in his kitchen so he could pull his drawer open, jam the thing into the drawer, and it would hold the base of the cup well enough that he could use his one hand to spin the lid off of it so that he could finish making his smoothie.
So he's got like a built-in hex.
Yeah, built-in rubber ringed. It was actually supposed to be a jar opener, and then I did a little crazy stuff to it in order to make it fit around it and hold it tight enough that he could do
really
it.
Cool.
So, and that was it the biggest deal in the world? Was it like, oh wow, I can't believe? No, it was just, how do we make this work for this situation that we've got, and kind of thinking outside of the box of, well, there isn't really a thing for it. But there's this thing that if I do some weird stuff to it, it could probably turn into something. So that's how my brain works.
That's fascinating.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Even the robotic feeding device, I had spent about a year before we actually managed to get it for him. I was trying to figure out how to make one myself, and I was starting the process using a remote control car, remote setup and servos and all that stuff, to see if I could figure out how to do it. I got about 3 months into messing with that in my spare time, and then heard about Obi, the robotic feeding device, and looked it up online and went, nope, never mind, forget it. It's already made. They've made it way better than I could ever do, so I'm just going to go with it because it already exists. So, yeah. Adapting is kind of what I do. Come up with creative ways to make things happen.
You know, I think about back to even in a chair. We've talked a lot about being in a chair, and with sports and being in a chair, and like the difference in cushions, the importance of having just the right cushion.
Absolutely. For a lot of our clients, they're paraplegics, so they have no real sensation from waist down. If you put them in the wrong cushion, or if you put them in the wrong cushion the wrong way around, then they're sitting on the wrong side of the cushion, and that can cause a pressure wound really quick. If you're sitting on something that's solid, but you need to be sitting on something that's soft, you can imagine sitting on a kitchen chair. How long can you sit there before you have to move?
About 30 seconds.
Right. So if you can't move and you're sitting on that.
Oh, that's a bad image. That's a bad image.
Yeah, it's detrimental in a very, very significant way. And once you've got a pressure wound underneath of you, it can be very costly on the healthcare system. And it definitely takes a toll on that client, because once you've had it, there's a good chance you're going to have it again. So then we have to go into a higher maintenance level of things and get into some crazy cushions in order to make sure that we don't cause that problem again.
I remember the Roho.
The Roho is the gem. That's the one. It's been around forever, and it works. And it's expensive, of course, but it works. So I'd rather pay $700 for a cushion than $40,000 for a wound that has to be dealt with.
No, you could probably explain this 10 times better than I can, but essentially it's a wheelchair cushion that has like air pockets.
Oh.
So that it makes sure that the pressure stays proper and everywhere for people so that they don't get those wounds.
Okay.
It's super cool. Honestly, I didn't know what it was when I picked it up the first time. Somebody had to explain it to me. But I thought, oh, wow, like that's really neat. And now I know several people that use them and the difference that it makes.
Yep.
I found out through COVID, sitting on my horrible chair at my house thinking, dear God, why? Why do I have this chair? Then they sent us home with our work chairs when it came later, but it was awful. And I thought, and it was one of the things I thought about for the people that we support, the people that I work with outside of this, is that, yeah, like sitting there, that's awful. Like, it's awful.
Yep.
And especially if you can't communicate what's wrong.
And that's the killer, is that you might not be able to actually vocalize what's going on. So you might be sitting on that for an extended period of time poorly, and no one can tell because you haven't screamed or told anybody, hey, that hurts. So that's tricky, and it's difficult, but proper positioning and properly having somebody sat is really important in the wheelchair side of the world. So
little things. It seems like such a little thing, but it makes such a big difference in a person's life.
Little things, even as far as sitting in a chair is concerned. I've done a little bit here and there as far as the ergonomics are concerned, just for normal people. I've gone over to Staples with a few people to go, okay, this is the right chair for you, this is the wrong chair for you, so that they can actually sit comfortably and supported in the right way in an ergonomic fashion, so that they're not sitting on the crappiest office chair ever, so that they're actually sitting on something that is the right shape and design and style to meet their body. So
that goes a long way.
It's fun too. I don't mind doing that. So
you're a man of many talents, Trevor.
Yeah, well, I've got some. Yeah, I am able to do some things. I think the most critical part is being able to think outside the box of how do we make this work? This thing that we want the client to be able to do, how do we get there? What do we need to do? So
what do you think the industry needs to do to change, to help support people better?
As far as the industry is concerned, I'm not sure that there's a whole lot that needs to change at this point, because we are rapidly changing. So the technology that's out there is, as mentioned before, incredible and constantly changing and evolving. So you can drive a power wheelchair just by breathing. If you can breathe, you can drive a power wheelchair. So
That's
you
so
can
cool.
independently mobilize just by breath. So the technology is just incredible, and it's changing every year and getting better and better and better and better. And sometimes the better comes with downsides as well, but they're working through it. So the industry itself, I think, is really, really good. As far as the industry, what we see is that inclusion is becoming a much more thought of piece of society, but it's not there yet. We still see businesses and places go, okay, I have to put in a lift because I have to, but I don't want to, so go put it in the back by the kitchen. And this is the wrong thinking.
Yeah.
Inclusion should mean that that client can get into your store in the same position as every other client can. So, segregating them by having to have the lift in the back or whatever is not inclusion. It's getting better, and I'm glad to see that coming along, but we still have further to go.
So how do you think we build awareness around that?
Well, there's lots of ways of building awareness. I participate in International Day for Persons with Disabilities.
December 3rd.
December 3rd.
Write that down.
In Redcliffe,
In
right?
Redcliffe, yeah.
So
this
we're going
year
to a school
Redcliffe
in
this year.
Redcliffe. That's a great way to talk to kids about the inclusion piece of it. And kids are generally more accepting than adults in the first place. So you're just a person in a chair, whereas adults are going to have a lot more questions and concerns about it. Inclusion is really just a matter of showing people that just because you're in a chair or you have a disability doesn't mean that you can't. The biggest thing in my world has been, I'm going to treat you just like absolutely everybody else until you prove to me otherwise. If you can prove to me that I need to step that down, I will. Otherwise, you're just the same as everybody else. And I think that if people can get to that point where they really see it that way, I think that's the goal. So there was the walkabout.
Yes, Citizens
So
Walkabout.
participated in that as well. So I was glad to be there. Any of those kind of community involvement initiatives, that's the way that we build inclusion.
I think that's fantastic.
Yeah. Definitely. Inclusion is awesome, period, because like you said, no matter if you use a chair or use a crutch or use a cane, you're still people.
Absolutely. And quite honestly, some of the clients that I deal with are way smarter than me. Like, incredible minds. And the ability for them to adapt and overcome is mind-boggling. What some of these clients have done in order to manage their world in a much more difficult situation. It's incredible to see what some of these people can actually do with their world. And I don't count any of them as anything less than me. I count them most often as way more.
I think that's the thing when it comes to inclusion. A lot of times it seems that, oh, well, you have to do this because someone is different. But the benefit to inclusion is for everybody. If inclusion really truly exists, that means nobody has to worry about showing up who they really are. They can just be. I can show up in my weird, crazy ways and be accepted and welcomed into a place, right? I can
100%.
I can show up. Maybe I show up in one of these ones. I'm not lying. I really want to take one home. Like, these are quite fun.
Yeah.
You know, I can show up the same way though and be seen. My son can show up and be accepted. The people that I support can show up and be accepted. I think, you know, whether you have a disability, something unique about you, well, we all have something unique about us, but whether it shows to the world or not, like, we should have the permission to show up as who we are everywhere. And that's why it always makes me curious why inclusion is seen as such a negative. Oh, well, we have to do more, because really you get to just open the doors and broaden your horizons and increase your business and increase your traffic, because everybody is welcome there.
Heck yeah.
Yep, absolutely. It's a lot of people see it as work or a task or an extra step that they have to do in order to make this thing happen. What they're not seeing is that at the end of that work and that task and that whatever, the difference that you're making and the possibilities that opens up. So.
And we never know when it's our turn in the seat.
Yeah.
Right?
We'll never know. It could be today, could be tomorrow.
That's right.
Could be a couple 20 years.
Who knows? So we all deserve one at the table.
At some point, I probably will need a wheelchair.
Yeah.
Luckily, I know a guy.
Yeah. I do too. And if I ever do, can you make mine like this but in red?
Sure, absolutely. I can just swap out those covers. No problem. That'll take 30 seconds. Yeah.
Is there anything else that you would like to share before we kind of sign off today? Is there anything else that you would like to share with people about the work that you do here?
No, I mean, I've got a great team. My team is the reason why we do so well. My team definitely goes out and they help out and they try to think the way that I do of, let's think outside the box and how do we fix this thing. I appreciate all the community support that I've had over the last 7.5 years, and in fact the last 25, and I just love doing this. So every ounce that I can get of it, and when you have something crazy that you need done, let me know. I love doing that stuff. If I can do something wonky that's never been done and turn it into something, that really excites me. So always learning.
Very cool. Something just popped in my head thinking about workplace accommodations. So are you able to do some of those things if someone needs a special equipment kind of made for work, like a bagging device for?
Yeah, absolutely. So we actually had an employee here. She's now working remotely. She was Paralympian, Sarah, and she needed to start standing in order to get some different movement in her body because of her paraplegia. So we actually bought a height adjustable desk power, and we got her a standing wheelchair where she just uses the hydraulic cylinders in the chair in order to do some standing at her desk.
That's so cool.
It was pretty sweet, and it worked very well for her in order to get her some of that rehab and therapy that she really needed. So any kind of those adaptations that need to happen, we are able to either supply or tell the clients, hey, this is where to get it, this is how to get it, and we can move forward from there. So
very cool.
Big on it.
One-stop shopping.
I try as much as I can make it that everybody can come here and get what they need. That's what I try to do. So
awesome. Well, thank you, Trevor, for you and your family creating this great space here and all the commitment to the community that you provide. We didn't get to talk about your wheelchairs for wheelchair basketball, but I really do love the fact that you bring in things to help support community and so that everybody can play too, because I think that everyone can play is really important.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I love what Medicine Hat Adaptive Sports has done. They're an amazing group and they do such great things for this community. So any way that I can help out any of the community is a great thing.
Very cool.
That's awesome.
Thanks again, Trevor, for joining us.
Thank you guys.
So, Kirah, that was pretty cool.
Yeah. When he said great minds, I couldn't help but think of one of my favorite people that had to adapt to get over his obstacle, Stephen Hawking. Because he couldn't talk. He had to type on like a spell and speak looking thing. But he managed to do it before he passed on. And I'm like, that is someone to be inspired by.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I think we all need a Trevor in our corner too for
Heck
those things
yeah,
that get in
yeah.
the way, you know? Because it's one day, it's one choice, it's one possibility, one moment away before everybody needs a little something. The stuff that comes through this office was a huge difference to me after my surgery. When I couldn't move here, I couldn't do this.
Mm-hmm.
Heck, I couldn't do a lot of things for myself. And I was really thankful to have like the transfer shower chair, that I had a place to sit, that I could actually, a little thing like being able to wash, like little things for on my counter to make sure that I could feed myself. Like it didn't seem like it would be something I'd ever be concerned with. And when I needed it, I knew exactly the place to come and find those pieces, so that like not having to lose feeling in my hands anymore. You know how weird that is to have your hands like numb through the day and then never again. Like
That would just be awful.
yeah, we're just lucky. You know,
Yeah.
we're just really lucky in this community that we have people like the Eichelbaums. I'm pretty sure that's close.
Yeah.
To help
definitely.
take care of us and to do all the good work.
Mm-hmm.
Have you had fun on our road trip?
Very much so.
I kind of want to race you in this wheelchair right now, but
I
I'm not going to do it.
I don't want to crash.
That's fair. Thanks for joining us again. I can't wait to learn about sledge hockey tomorrow.
Yeah, definitely. I can't wait to learn about sledge hockey either.
Yeah, go see the assassin.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Definitely.
Thanks for joining us. Keep adapting.
Stay cool. See you next time.